pleasure to be here. I know this is a very, very difficult moment for you. We've had a number of really inspiring speeches. We've had a panel. This is probably the moment when you'd like to pick up your phone and check your emails. Don't do that quite yet. The question you should ask yourself at this stage is, why should I listen to this short Frenchman with the crazy gray hair on stage instead of looking at my phone? Here's the answer. That's not because I am a visionary. That's not because my life is particularly inspiring, especially compared to some of the speakers we've seen earlier this morning. That's because I have the data. I've got plenty of really good data. So what we're going to do together during the upcoming 20 minutes is see how this data can be used by you guys so that you can make better decisions over the coming months. A few words about ForwardKeys, the company I work for. ForwardKeys has recently joined the Amadeus family. We're a travel analytics company. We're specialized in air travel data. But since we've joined the Amadeus family, we've got access to plenty of data also coming from the hospitality industry. So our big challenge for today and for the whole of next year is to onboard all of this data so that we can get a clear understanding of current and future travel trends. No need to introduce Amadeus much. I guess you're all familiar with the company. We're the world leader in travel technology, and we power everything that's got to do with travel, from bookings to payments and many other things. We work with more than close to 200 destinations worldwide and thousands of hotels around the world. So, a few more words about the data itself and the data I'm going to use in this presentation. So, strong focus on air travel. We'll be looking at what's happening on the supply side of the market. Seen from an airline perspective, who's going to operate which routes, when, what kind of aircraft, how many seats. We have all that for today and for the coming 12 months. Looking at the demand side, we know what people search for prior to booking their trips. And I'm not talking about your average Google search. I'm talking about a search on the meta search engine saying, hey, I'm interested in traveling from this city to that city at a given date. What are the options? So, really good information on travel intent. We also have information on booking, so actual demand. And we can combine these different pieces of information to understand who will be traveling where and when. Interestingly, we can also see who's searching for a trip and not booking. Very interesting because that opens plenty of business opportunities. We also add a layer of information on all of this raw data, algorithms that help us leverage the data even better and answer specific business questions. I'll give you an example later this morning when looking at what we call the growth management module. And of course, we monitor the performances of the hospitality industry, looking at occupancy, average daily rates, etc., etc. Again, I'll present some of this stuff in the coming minutes. So all in all, looking at the supply and the demand side of the market, we're able to understand who will be traveling where and when, therefore enabling the travel and tourism industry making smarter decisions. So, one more thing. Because Amadeus is involved at many different points across the travel ecosystem, we have many different touch points at different stages of the traveler's journey. And all of those touch points can be used to influence travelers' decisions and help travel professionals reach their key audience at the right moment and via the right channels. So enough about the data, about what the data is. Let's take a look at what the data says. And I want to start with the big picture. What's happening in the world of travel and tourism today? Where are we at? Looking at the past 6 months, we can see moderate growth, which is powered by an increase in air supply. So here we're looking at air supply. Worldwide, air supply on international flights has increased by 5%. And the region, the Middle East, is very much in line with the global average. Same thing if we look at the upcoming 6 months, we're seeing a slight increase in terms of capacity. And here again, the Middle East is in line with the global trend. Africa is performing slightly better, but all in all, really, we're in a situation where most parts of the world are growing at similar paces. Sometimes it goes faster, sometimes a little bit slower, but all in all, we're looking into moderate growth for the past 6 months and the upcoming 6 months. Zooming in further into the region, which is of particular interest to us today, so Africa and the Middle East, we can see that North Africa is actually leading the way, and this is very much linked to the performances of a destination like Morocco, which is growing extremely fast in terms of air supply. Sub-Saharan Africa follows suit, plus 8% in total. And here we're seeing destinations like Ethiopia and South Africa playing a key role. Middle East comes next with Dubai in a very, very strong position. Sorry, not Dubai, the UAE. Now we're talking about Dubai. What's happening with Dubai? Dubai is growing slightly slower than the regional average, but we need to remember that that's also the destination with the biggest volumes, so that's kind of to be expected. What really strikes me when looking at these figures is the fact that Dubai is diversifying its markets even more than in the past. We can see strong growth on the Chinese market. So while a large part of the world is still wondering whether Chinese tourists are going to come back, Dubai has definitely switched to growth mode and is already attracting these tourists, opening new routes with China, with Emirates here playing a key role. So interesting opportunities and diversification trends at play. Let's talk a little bit more about demand and travel searches. So here again, stay on the case of Dubai. This is how it looks like in terms of searches. Who's searching for the destination? Doesn't look very different from what you could see in previous years. London, Paris, Delhi, Manchester, New York, and Mumbai leading the way. What's striking is that all of those markets are actually growing, and growing pretty fast, double-digit growth in terms of searches, while in the meantime, capacity is not following at the same pace. That's the case for the UK, with London in particular, but also for Indian origin markets, where we're seeing strong travel intent, but very little evolution in terms of air capacity. Keep that in mind for later. We'll get back to this topic. Knowing who wants to travel is one thing, knowing what kind of travel you can expect is yet another. And one of the key criteria for a destination or a hotel is how long people stay at the destination. And here we're seeing big differences depending on the origin we're looking into. So if you take Paris or New York, for example, you can see that there's a very significant share of people searching for long stays, so more than 14 nights, or medium stay 6 to 13 nights. I think these markets clearly represent good business opportunities for the destination, because in general, the longer you stay, the more you spend at the destination. We could do a similar exercise with other destinations in the region. We're not going to do this in the interest of time, but just looking at key markets searching for these destinations, we're seeing some interesting patterns. Abu Dhabi is very similar to what we're seeing in Dubai, but look at what's happening in Cairo or Riyadh. We have a much more regional dimension. We're looking at the top three, while Cape Town is very, very dependent on key European source markets. and we'll see again what that means in terms of travel demand and seasonality for the destination. So let's move on to opportunities, and I want to talk here more about seasonality because I think this is where the most growth can be found for destinations worldwide and for Dubai in particular. This is how seasonality looks like when you take a number of destinations in the region. I took Abu Dhabi, Cairo, Dubai, Riyadh, and Amman. Two very different patterns. In destinations like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Riyadh, you have seasonality, a low season during the hotter month, the hotter summer month, and that's precisely when you've got the high season for Cairo or Amman. So the question is, if you're one of the destinations when the hotter months are the low season, how can you work on this in order to attract travelers during this period? That's when the smart algorithms come into play. So we've developed one called growth management, and this is how it works. So here I took the example of Abu Dhabi. We could do something similar with Dubai. Say, okay, my product is in line with what you could find in some other destinations like Cairo, Amman. I want you to use data for the whole world, but I want you to be aware that my destination is competing with these guys. Now, my low season would be from June to September. Those parts in red and orange, and I want to target markets that are not too far away. So not long haul, but regional or close by markets. Who should I focus on? Now, the algorithm crunches all the data, takes a few seconds, and comes up with this recommendation. Actually, for a destination like Abu Dhabi, the market you should clearly focus on during your low season because those guys are interested in traveling. They're just not going to your destination, but they're eager to travel, including to hot destinations. That would be the UK, and you can expect more than 100,000 extra overnight stays when targeting this market. And that gets better than that. Here, the hatched part with the gray background is the low season that we've identified. This, before, the hatched part is what you could gain even outside of this low season on the UK market. So clearly, a lot of opportunities still on this market. I think what's missing for a start is enough air capacity, as we will see very shortly. So looking at air connectivity, this chart is probably the least sexy I have in the whole deck, so please bear with me. And let's see how it works. So, top left part is what you could consider as those are the short-term opportunities. That's where there's a strong travel intent. There's strong connectivity, but travel intent is still a little bit weak. So if you run a tactical marketing campaign, maybe you can fill up those planes now and get those travelers in your destination, in your properties tomorrow. Bottom right part, the underserved route, it's the other way around. That's where there's strong travel intent, but not enough air connectivity. Really good mid-term opportunity. So how does this look? Well, on the short-term opportunity front, you've got a lot of origin markets which are located in the region, right? Big hubs, Istanbul, Jeddah, Riyadh. On the underserved route part, you've got London here, top right, big opportunity, not enough air connectivity, definitely something to work on as a destination. Paris, Delhi, Mumbai, remember, those are all the places that we saw as top searching markets for the destination. They're searching, Dubai is hot for them, but they are not booking enough because capacity is lagging behind. If we zoom in even further on that bottom left part of the chart, we can see plenty of opportunities mid-term on European markets. You see all the big European cities there, and we're looking at the short-term opportunities. We see plenty of Asian origin markets popping up, from Singapore to Kuala Lumpur and so forth, and Pacific destinations, Sydney, Melbourne, with Moscow as well being an interesting market to look into. And there's yet another scenario. It's people looking for the destination but having zero direct connectivity. Here again, you have some interesting cities popping up. Atlanta, strong population and also a very good connectivity in general. Zero direct connectivity with Dubai, something to look into. Also some interesting Latin American markets with Bogota, for example, or Mexico City. Both markets being really hot for the travel and tourism sector worldwide. So I think there's a good opportunity for Dubai to tap into this. I'll go quick on this, looking into specific segments, so being able to zoom into those people that can make a difference. The premium segment is particularly strong. We've looked into what was happening in Cairo, for example, and we're seeing a number of key markets growing very, very fast on the premium segment. So for us, it's people traveling at the front of the plane. If you look even further into the data and look at how those people are traveling, what's the traveling party, how does that look like? We can see that there are a lot of solo travelers going to Cairo. That's also the same for Riyadh, even more. Very different people. They've got different needs, expect different type of services. If you look into the age categories, you cross even further. You can see in the case of Riyadh that we've got a lot of professionals between 36 and 65 years old, people who've got money to spend and who will come for all kinds of business events at the destination. You don't speak with these people in the same way you'd speak to couples traveling to Cape Town, destination strong for couples, or families traveling to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. It's a segment that we've seen growing over time. The destinations have become very strong on this segment because there's a really interesting offer for families. That's also what we can see in terms of age categories, younger travelers in Dubai and Abu Dhabi because of this offer, which is very family friendly. So bottom line is, if you cross the data enough, you got a good understanding of who you should target, when and which services you should put forward. Same thing, people are not booking their trip with the same level of anticipation. Looking into destinations, we can see big differences that are linked to the type of travelers that destinations attract. Cape Town, a lot of European travelers, therefore a lot of people booking with a lot of anticipation. Dubai, really this mix between long haul and regional markets with more than half of the people booking short time, but a significant share booking with much anticipation. And when looking at those markets, booking with much anticipation, we'll see London, for example, being particularly strong. Well, interestingly, the Russians with Moscow will behave much more like regional markets, will tend to book with short lead times because they are already very familiar with the destinations. So what does it mean for you? That you need to time your marketing campaigns right for each of those markets. This is how it looks like for the UK, for London. When booking Dubai, clearly what's happening is that people reconvene for the end of the year celebration, discuss their holiday plans, and then they book in the months that follow, actually in the weeks that follow. So that's where you need to be present with your properties. That's when you need to sell the destination, because this is when decisions are being made. Few indicators on hospitality. I think the Middle East is one of the top performing regions in terms of occupancy rates. All in all, 70% for the region over the past 12 months. This taking into account those religious holidays that are really denting occupancy at two key moments during the year. Dubai is a top performer at 81% average occupancy. And when you look at average daily rates, big differences across the Middle East and Africa. So I don't think that makes much sense. I think it makes much more sense when you look into a country, or even when you look into a destination specifically and compare hotels, which is not something I can do in this presentation, unfortunately. Looking into how that looks in South Africa, we're seeing a big difference between Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban, for example, with Cape Town having a much stronger seasonality pattern, being very strong during the summer months, much weaker during the winter months, which are also the safari months, where it's competing with many other destinations. And I'm going to go real fast because I've already run out of time. This is the average daily rate for South Africa, Cape Town being much higher than the regional average, and Joburg being significantly below. The interesting takeaway here is that prices are going up quite significantly. This is true for South Africa, this is true for the whole region. So that's very good news for 2026. So moving on to the key takeaways. I think one thing is clear at this stage, there's no problem on the demand front. It's air supply which is making the difference. How easy is it for your key markets to get to your destination? This is definitely something to work on, especially at a time where aircraft manufacturers are having difficulties leveraging new aircraft. So airlines are really focusing on those routes that are making the biggest profits. So make sure that Dubai is out there, that your destination is out there. There are still plenty of opportunities to be unlocked. I've touched upon things like the premium market, some key source markets or demographics. Really understanding your market, being able to segment so that you understand who is more likely to come to your destination at a given moment is key and will enable you to price your services or your properties in the best possible way, looking into the future of demand. Action drives performance, and performance is driven by data, which is why, and we've heard this in the panel just prior to this session, data is so essential. So make sure that you've got what you need in order to make those decisions. For a close, I would like to invite you first. I know it's difficult to do several things at the same time. So let's do this step by step. Number one, you can take your phone, scan this QR code, and request a tailor-made report for your property. How do things look like for the coming 6 months? How do things look like in general? We'll be happy to help you on this. Second, I'm not seeing that many phones up, guys. Not interested into looking into the future? I'm surprised. Secondly, I've got 2 colleagues here, which I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet. Nadim and Joy, please stand up if you're here. Yes, Nadim is over there. Joy is not there. Feel free to have a chat with Nadine, Joy, or myself after this session if you want to know more about what we are doing. And lastly, if you feel like clapping, this is the moment. Thank you.